This is Chesed, Vora, Tferes, Netzach, Vaid, and Yisayid. Right? Make sense? So this is the Zraya, Beitza, the Marar, the Karpas, the Chareses, and the Chazeres. So each one of the elements is a different thing. Is another one of the spheres. What?
I think it's what is
Sorry, can you say slowly which one goes with which so we can write it down?
So the three matzahs are Chachma, Bina, and Das. Chabad.
Wait.
Three matzahs. Three matzahs that go into the Kaira are Chachma, Bina, and Das. Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Kai, Levi, and Yisrael. Yeah? Okay. Let me know when I should continue.
What's the Beitza?
Vura.
So Chachma is Cohen, and then the next is Levi, and Israel.
The top, yeah, it goes from top to bottom. Kaira, a plate, bowl, plate.
In my house growing up, it was not set up like this. It's set up in a circle.
Right. There's different customs, and the reason why we do it this way is because it corresponds to the spheres. So the sphere, there are 6 spheres. Chesed, Gvura, Tferes, Netzach, Chayid, and Yisayid. You familiar with these? Okay. So the way that we set up the items on the Seder plate corresponds to the way that the spheres are set up in ourselves and in heaven and so on. Okay.
Write it out in like the English.
What, the spheres?
Yeah, like that one. That one's before.
Is it in the Haggadah? It doesn't have it. One second. Let me see if it's in here.
The Zerah is Chesed. Beitza is Gevurah.
Listen, so if you look in the Haggadah, you have it in English and in Hebrew on page 24. The actual names of each one of the things that are there. Okay.
24, you said?
Page 24. It doesn't have the spheres, but it has the.
No, I need the spheres.
But it has the items that are on the Seder. It's sideways. It's sideways.
So the egg would be
It shows on the cover.
Mars,
The cover it shows the head.
The cover is better. Yeah, the cover is straight.
Mars, Kiparis,
Mara is first, yeah.
Clarissus is Netzach.
Karpas. Right? Karpas is on the right, right?
What is Karpa?
No, I'm sorry. You're right. I got it wrong. I knew there was something that was weird. Sorry. The other way around. The Pharesis goes here and the Karpas is here. Karpas is Hayd and Chazeres is Yisayid.
Why is Bina the broken one?
Why is Bina the broken one?
Like, what does it mean that Bina is the one that's broken in half?
In other words, why do we break Bina in half?
Yeah.
Well, Bina is Gvura. And that's why we break the Afikomen into 5 pieces. It says to break the Kavanah is to break the element of Gvura and to break it into kindness. That's number 1. Bina in general also is about breaking things down in your head. It's about analysis. Bina is where all critical thinking happens in your mind. This is where you break an idea down and you analyze it and you break it into pieces and you consider the different elements. This is something that happens also with the power of Gvura. Make sense? What are you stuck on? We break Bina because it's Gvura. We want to break the Gvura. We want to break the judgment and leave only kindness.
Is Zerah Chesed? Because like that's when we had the base of Mikdash, so we had like the most connection.
I'm not sure that I want to get into all of this because it's first of all, it's very long, but second of all, there's a lot of different ways you can look at all these different things. For instance, Mara you would think would be Gvora. So it's something that's a little counterintuitive, and it's a confusing thing. The reason why I'm bringing this is because you asked the question about what? About the Kaira. So the Kaira, so where's Malchus? So the Kaira is Malchus. You understand? The Kaira itself is Malchus. The 4 cups, the what? The Keter is beyond. Keter is beyond that's what Keter is. It's beyond everything. But the Kaira is Malchus, just like the Malchus is the receptacle for all of the different spheres that descend into her. So too also all of the different elements, the 3 matzahs and the Simonei Aseder, the things on the Kaira that go on top, are all placed on the Kaira itself. And the Kaira is what's holding the whole thing together. So this represents Malchus beautifully, because on the one hand, the Kaira is everything. Without the Kaira, then nothing else, like nothing goes anywhere. Nothing has anywhere to go. Nothing fits anywhere. Nothing has a place. But at the same time, it's completely unassuming. It's everything, but it's nothing. It's like the moon. The moon is very important, but it's only a reflection of the sun. It's unassuming. It's humble, which is the theme of Pesach in general, with the matzah, the humility of matzah. And so therefore, to aggrandize the Kaira and to make the other things less significant thereby, and making that as a centerpiece goes against the idea of what this really, of what it represents and what it really is. Follow? Make sense? Yeah? No?
It's fine now.
What?
This way, don't worry about me.
Okay, so yesterday,
You said Malchus is everything and it's nothing?
it's everything and nothing at the same time. Right? Because without Malchus, so then the spheres have nowhere to go. Without Malchus, the spheres, the energy won't go to the next generation, to the next olam, the next world. Everything that comes, Malchus is the bridge. Malchus is the chain that connects everything one to the other. Malchus is also the energy that allows the spheres even above, in the spheres above, to connect one to the other. And that's represented with feminine energy. Anyway, so yesterday we had copies, but the copies, interestingly enough, somehow in a very talented way, got only the even pages were copied, but not the odd pages. So this is now.
This is proper. Throw away the other one.
Yeah, the other one is.
Sorry again, Malchus is the energy that we connect with.
Malchus, in terms of the Seder, Malchus is the Kaira that holds everything. Make sense? Okay.
It's just that I write more, so I need to.
No problem. Okay, so yesterday we talked about Lamata Lamailo, Lamata, the energy that goes from top down and bottom up. A relationship that exists that's top down and bottom up, right? You have relationships in which you initiate and relationships that someone else initiates. There's external initiation and then there's internal initiation. All of these different things are represented by the 2 polar opposites of the year, the time of the year between Elul and Shvat, and from Adar until Av. So the time between Elul and Shvat is Mamata Lamaila, is when we reach out to Hashem, the Ani L'Dei V'Dei Deli, where we initiate and Hashem reciprocates. And then afterwards, in the second half of the year, or in the first half of the year, depending on how you start it, Adar and Nissan and the period of the time of the spring and the summer, all the way until Av, is where Hashem initiates. Right? And so therefore we see also in the holiday itself, where Hashem came to Mitzrayim. 4/5 of the Jews didn't want to leave Mitzrayim. The other 5th of the Jews wanted to leave Mitzrayim, but didn't believe that it was possible or happening. And Hashem literally had to come and drag us out by our ear out of Mitzrayim. And even after we left Mitzrayim, the whole time, in 40 years in the desert, we kept on complaining that we want to go back, we want to go back, we want to go back. And so therefore, although Hashem took the Jews out of Mitzrayim, he wasn't successful, or we weren't successful in taking the Mitzrayim out of ourselves. And so this is the contrast between the first Gola and the last Gola, the Gola that we're waiting for right now. The Gola of Mitzrayim was something that Hashem initiated and the Jews weren't necessarily ready for. And so therefore, that's why ultimately the Jews didn't catch up fast enough in order for the Jews who left Mitzrayim to actually go into the promised land, to actually go into the land of Israel. So therefore, they died in the desert. And a second group of people that were not born in slavery, at least the vast majority of them, and were not slavery-minded, Galus-minded people that thought that it was better back in Mitzrayim. So they were the ones that went into Mitzrayim. However, in our case, and so that's Hashem initiating. In our situation, Hashem wants that it should happen together, that Hashem should come and take us out of Galus, but we should be ready to be there, ready to go. Yeah.
I don't know if we have something. Well, how we are not prepared if when Abraham, who celebrates Pesach before Pesach?
All the Avis kept all the mitzvahs before.
Yeah, so we are prepared. We was prepared, no?
Prepared. I'm not talking about prepared for matzah and mar and knedla. I'm talking about being prepared to leave Galus.
Ah.
Yeah.
I thought there were specific things that the Jews in Egypt like had about them that merited them leaving Egypt, like circumcision or like keeping.
It says there were 4 mitzvahs. Can I get the 4 cups that we
Does
drink
that
on Pesach?
count as them doing like their avoda or no?
Of course it does.
But it's that's their class.
Definitely, the Jewish people have a schus. They merit to be redeemed. They merit to be redeemed because Hashem promised to redeem us. They merit to be redeemed because they're the children of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. They merit to be redeemed because they're Jews and because they do mitzvahs, because of so many different things. There's endless schusim that the Jewish people have. But that doesn't mean just because they have the schus to be there, they merit to be there. That doesn't mean that they actually have accomplished or that they're actually there in that area. Now, the regalus and agula paradigm is not the same as being meritorious, or it's not the same thing as doing mitzvahs. So we could do many mitzvahs, but we could still be in a very, very strong galus mentality. In other words, it's a different step. We can do mitzvahs our whole lives in a box. Or we can do mitzvahs in a way of geula, to be in an expansive way. Everything can be done either in a galus way or in a geula dika way. Everything has it's a paradigm. It's a way that you look at life. It's the way that you look at everything that you do. It's why you do the things that you do. For what? For who? For what purpose? For what goal? In what way? In what style? In what flavor? In what shape? In what color? All of these different things depend on how you look at it. Do you live your life and look at everything that you do in a galus way, or do you look at life and do everything that you do in a geula way? So you could have tremendous amount of marriage. You could be a complete tzaddik, but you're a tzaddik in galus. Or you could be someone who does one mitzvah, but that one mitzvah is a geula mitzvah. Does that make sense? Okay. So yesterday also we talked about the interesting structure of the calendar. You guys remember this? Yeah, whoever was here yesterday, about how the first day of Yontiv is the first day of is Tisha B'Av, the second day of Yontiv is Shavuot, the first day of Shavuos, and so on. How you can know all of the different days of when each day of Yontiv falls out by knowing what Pesach is. So this isn't just a mathematical, an interesting mathematical thing. It's also showing that how much Pesach and Nissan is the beginning of the year, the head of the year, and a time where Hashem is more available and more revealed to all the Jewish people more than any other time of the year. Okay. So if we look at page 9, so we find something, the names of the Yontiv. What are the names of the Yontiv? How many names of the Yontiv do we have?
4.
What are they?
Pesach.
Pesach is 1, great. Matzah is good, 2.
Rosh Hashanah.
Zman Cherusena.
Zman Cherusena, right? The time of our redemption. And number 4. No, it doesn't. We're on page 9. Number 4 is Chag HaAviv, the holiday of the spring holiday, and that's not just it's not, Hanukkah isn't called the winter holiday. It's not called the winter holiday. Pesach is called the spring holiday because it has to be in the spring, and if it's not in the spring, so then we add another other like we did this year in order to make sure that Pesach is in the spring. And Zman Cheresenu, and then it's also called what else is it called? No, that's it. 4 names. 4 names. 4 is a big number. 4 is a big number in Pesach, right?
Yeah.
What are the other 4s in Pesach?
You got 3?
4 cups.
3 and 4.
3 is also 4
Oh, okay.
because we take the middle matzah, we break it in half,
What
so
is
it's
the
4.
Number 4.
4.
If you say
4 cups.
4 cups. What else?
4 children.
4 sons, right?
4 questions.
All the 4s are 5s, but let's start with the 4.
I just learned that the 4 questions actually in Eretz Yisrael used to just be 3, and in Babel they had 4.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought there were 5 because they added the question about the carbon Pesach. What were the 3?
I was just at a lecture yesterday.
What was the 4th that they? So what is it? What's the
No,
4th?
it was, if I'm remembering correctly, it used to in Eretz Yisrael they had a question on matzah, a question on maror,
Mm-hmm.
and the question on I think it was on Pesach. And they didn't, so it was like
And what about the dipping? They didn't do it.
that was the maror. It was like about maror and dipping the maror like all in
So
one.
it's 3 questions in one.
I don't remember the exact wording of the question, but
Okay.
I remember seeing it. Maybe tomorrow I'll bring it.
Okay. So what are other 4s that we have at the Seder? So we have 4 cups, 4 sons, 4 questions.
You just said 4 matzahs.
Right, 3. Well, she said about them 3. So I said 3 really is a kind of 4 because for the 3 is split into 4. The second matzah is split into 2, which makes it 4. What other 4s do we have? We have the 4 cups that Pare drank. We have.
4 sons? What?
Right, the 4 sons. Yeah. Didn't we say 4 sons?
Yeah, but
What are the 4 sons?
yeah.
The wise son, the wicked son,
Ah,
the simple son.
Sorry.
We have 4/5 didn't come.
Good, very good. What else? I'll give you a hint. Turn to page 18.
For Lashonos of Geula,
Mm-hmm.
4 exiles,
Mm-hmm.
4 worlds, 4
Mhm.
foundations.
Good. And then there's 4 names of the holiday. What we call the holiday Pesach, and Hashem calls the holiday Chag HaMatzos. Why do we call it Pesach and Hashem calls it Chag HaMatzos? What?
Because Pesach is what Hashem did for us, and matzahs is what we did for Hashem.
Right. So we praise Hashem through calling the Yom Tov Pesach, because we thank Hashem, we praise Hashem for jumping over. Pesach means to pass over, to jump over. So he jumped over the houses of the Jews and brought destruction on the houses of the Mitzrayim. And then what? Chag HaMatzos is what? Why? How is Hashem praising us with Chag HaMatzos?
You went into the midbar without like
Without provisions, without food, without water, without anything. We trusted Hashem completely. And we went into the desert with complete faith that Hashem was going to take care of us. On every level, we went in with nothing. And so Hashem praises us that this is the holiday where he remembers our faith to him. So that's why we see in the Pasuk that we call it, where we call it Pesach, but then, or Hashem, where we call it Pesach, but then when we refer to the Yom Tov in davening, we call it Chag HaMatzos. So one is us praising Hashem, the other one is Hashem remembering us. And the next page, on page 10, it's a little blurry, but you see over there, you may see over there, there's two lines that are underlined in the English and the Hebrew. It's a pasuk in Shir Hashirim that says, "Kol daidi hine zeba medaleg al harim mekafetz al hakvayis." So this concept of daidi, of our beloved, is something that we're familiar with all the way from Elul. At Elul, we have the pasuk of Ani l'daidi v'daidi li, that we are to our beloved, meaning we are to Hashem and Hashem is to us. And page 10. And then comes Pesach, and then we hear again about our daidi. We hear again about Hashem, who he's referred to, but in a completely different way. Instead of that we are to him and then he is to us, that we initiate a relationship with him, or we reach out to him and then he reciprocates to us. He, to begin with, we hear him coming. He comes to us to begin with. Like I said before, that the Gola in Mitzrayim happened, where Hashem came even without the Jewish people being ready to go. And so this passage talks about how during the time of Pesach is a time of jumping. This is a time where Hashem jumps over the houses of the Jews, that he jumps over, but it's not just something that happened 3,300 years ago, it's something that happens today, every single Pesach. And so this is a concept of jumping. So even though that it may seem that a whole half a year has gone by, and we're already sort of at the end of the year, we're already the home stretch of the year, and soon school will be over, and then there'll be the summer, and at the end before then you blink twice in the summer and it's Elul again, and we're starting the year all over again. And there may have been things in Elul and in Tishrei that you promised that you were going to do this year, resolutions that you made that you were going to do this year. And maybe you didn't do them at all. Maybe you forgot to do them. Maybe you remembered to do them, but you weren't successful in doing them. Maybe you did remember that you were supposed to do them, and you did do some of them, but you didn't do all of them, or you did some of them, but you didn't do, or you did all of them, but you didn't do them all to the fullest extent that you wanted to. And you're looking back and you're saying now that, okay, so the whole winter has gone by, and now it's already Pesach, that more than half of the year has gone by. There's no way that I'm going to be able to catch up on whatever it is that I promised, or that I said that it was going to be, that I was going to do, that I was going to become this year. And so now let's just enjoy the Yom Tov, and then we'll enjoy the summer, and we'll write off the year, and then next year we'll try again. So comes along Pesach and says that Pesach is a month of jumping. So when we are initiating, when we are working with the limitations of mankind, of human beings, so human beings can get up every day and do a little something every day. We as people take baby steps. We as people don't. Rome wasn't built in a day. Nothing happens all in one shot, in 1 minute. Every day we do a little more, we grow incrementally, slowly, one after the other. Anything that happens in one shot, everything that happens in 1 second, that wasn't prefaced by a bunch of small steps, probably won't last more than another day or two. So when we are initiating, which is the time of the year between Elul and Shvat, so then during that time of the year, so then every day has its job. Every day is step by step. Every day is one at a time, 1 day at a time, 1 step at a time, 1 level at a time. Comes Pesach and Hashem comes to schlep us out. Now, if we are going to be like we were in Mitzrayim and we're not going to be ready at all, so then we'll be sitting and complaining. In other words, Hashem will bring us the Geula, and we won't even realize that it's the Geula. We'll be complaining. The Jewish people in the Midbar, they were constantly complaining, I want to go back to Mitzrayim. This is not Geula, this is Golus. we're in a desert and we don't have food and we don't have meat and we don't have water and we don't have this and we don't have that. We're constantly complaining about everything, looking at the Gullus and saying the Gullus is Geula, and looking at the Geula and saying it's Gullus. So if we still have Gullus eyeglasses on, and we're looking through everything from a Gullus mentality, so then the Geula looks like Gullus and the Gullus looks like Geula. Not that we didn't complain when we were in Gullus. It says B'nitzak al Hashem. It says we cried out to Hashem from the terrible work. It was horrible in Mitzrayim. But when you're stuck in Gullus, you're stuck in Gullus. It doesn't make a difference if you're stuck in Gullus in Geula or you're stuck in Gullus in Gullus. Everything's going to be a problem. You can complain wherever you are. If you're living in Geula, so the Geula, you'll find something positive in everything that you do. Yosef lived that way. You see that Yosef was betrayed by his brothers, ridiculed by his brothers, betrayed by his brothers, sold by his brothers, sold into slavery, tricked by Potiphar's wife. And even though Potiphar believed him and didn't believe his wife, he still was thrown into prison and stayed in prison for 12 years. 12 years. And he never got depressed. He never got angry, never got jaded, and he never looked at things from a Gullus mentality. He always looked at what can be done over here in a positive way. And you see that not only was he able, how do I know that he never got depressed and angry or whatever? I wasn't with him in prison. It's because you see that he gave to others. When a person is able to give to others, to see others, to do for others, to see another person's pain, that is not a person that's in slavery. That's not a person that's in Gullus. A person that's in Gullus is all worried about himself and worried about his own problems and complaining about his own problems, and is not able to see anyone else outside of himself. Yosef was able to see other people. He saw the butcher and the baker, not the butcher. What? The butcher and the baker. The butler and the baker. He was able to see others. He was able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. He was able to see the Geula in whatever he was experiencing. He was able to see that there's good to be done in the prison. There's people that need help, and that people that need support, and I can give it. So that's my shlichus here. That's my job here. That's why Hashem put me here. And he saw the opportunity, not the challenge. But that's a whole other thing. Or Yosef, the Yosef story is a whole other story. So when Hashem comes in Nissan, so either we're there to run with him or we're not. But either way, Hashem changes the energy flow of the world in Adar now, last month already, all the way from the last week of Shvat into a Nissan style or a Nissan mode. And that is where there's jumping. So the jumping is not only something that happened in Mitzrayim thousands of years ago, but it's also an energy or a way that things flow today. So what does it mean that he jumps? So first of all, is that Hashem initiates. Hashem initiates on Pesach. So even though we're not there, Hashem is there. Hashem will come to the Seder and take us out of Golus no matter what. That's number one. Number two, if you look on the next page, like I said, if a person feels that they can't accomplish this year because too many months have gone by and there's too many things to catch up with. So it's true that if you have to catch up on whatever it is that you missed, if you're taking day by day steps, so then it'll be very difficult to catch up a whole half a year of things that we didn't do or forgot to do. However, if we're jumping, so then we can jump over many things very, very quickly. So Hashem tells us to say there, it's okay, whatever happened up until now, just like the Jews of Mitzrayim, regardless of what you did or what you didn't do, what you believed or what you didn't believe, now it's time to go out. So if you're ready or you're not ready, we're leaving. So for us, it would be beneficial for us if we would do as much as we can to be ready for the Seder night, to be ready to leave Golos. But if we don't, we're going to leave anyway. So it says like this. On page 11, it says like this. In Piskut Rav Kahana, it says like this. It says in the pasuk that we just read that is Medalig Alahanim Mekafetz Alagvayis. It says that Hashem, that the voice of, by beloved, the voice of Hashem is heard, or the sound of him coming as he jumps and skips over the mountains and the hills. So this is poetic, but of course there's deep meaning to it. So he says like this in the paragraph on the bottom that's underlined. It says, that being that Hashem wants, desires, is waiting to redeem the Jewish people. So what does he do during Pesach? So during Rosh Hashanah, it says that Sefer Umayna Umavit, and he looks and he counts all of the person's deeds, what he did and how he did and everything. And then And then he decides what's going to be with that person for the year. In Nissan, so it's a way of jumping. That he doesn't look so specifically and carefully in every single thing that every single person does. He looks at people more through like in broader strokes. In other words, instead of looking at all the little details,
This is during Nissan.
this is the whole season of Nissan, from Adar all the way until Av. That Hashem is not looking at the specific details of every single thing that you do. He's not hair splitting things. It's in a way of jumping. So he jumps over. So he jumps over the mistakes. He jumps over the small details of things that we messed up, and he looks at the Jews overall. Overall the Jews are righteous, and the Jews are doing mitzvahs, and there are many tzaddikim in the world. They're doing good things, and he looks at the broad strokes. And in this way, he finds merit in the Jewish people in order to redeem them. Okay. Okay, page 12. Okay, so the first thing we talked about was Nissan as a general period of time during the year, and the special energy that comes in Pesach, that is a Geula style or Geula oriented energy and approach, and how that helps us, to catch up, and how that helps us to get into the Geula. Now, on Pesach itself, there's a very, very important theme, which all of you probably are already starting with, which is the chametz and matzah paradigm. What is a chametz, matzah, and paradigm? It's a very, very interesting or even strange paradigm, because we eat a lot of special foods on each one of the holidays. Every single holiday has its special food, or many special foods, either halachically or just customarily, through customs of communities and so on. Every yontif has something specific that we eat. And Pesach also. Pesach has the matzah. Matzah is not only just a custom, but it's a mitzvah. Not only a mitzvah, but a mitzvah from the Torah. We have the maror. We have all types of different things that we eat. But we never find that on Shavuos we eat milchiks, and then a month before Shavuos we're told that we should get rid of and burn and destroy all of the fleishiks in our house. It's a funny thing. You're laughing, but why aren't you laughing at chametz and matzah? Why can't we sit down at the Seder and eat matzah? And so since when did chametz become the enemy? Why do we have to destroy everything of chametz? Why can't? And if Hashem doesn't want us to eat the matzah with the chametz, so fine. So we just eat matzah and not chametz. Fine. So we don't serve challah at that meal. Big deal. Okay. We don't have to get fanatic about it. We don't have to get OCD about it. It's fine. So the chametz is in the, like, what's the big deal? What's the matter? And all the other holidays as well, the special foods, but those special foods don't negate other foods. It doesn't mean that we have to go find the opposite of that food and destroy it, burn it, eradicate it, to do everything we can to search for it and burn it and flush it down the toilet and kasher it and burn it and blowtorch it out of every single crevice and to sell even the pots where there's chametz that is absorbed flavor into the pots to get rid of it. Even on that level, there's no way that you can't even see the chametz that's inside your pots, but we even get rid of those. Why is chametz the enemy, but fleishiks is not the enemy on Shavuot? Yeah.
I feel like we're going in the ego direction, but is it possible also that like normally we don't go to extremes and like we go by the middle path, but like there is something that like if you were in like a bad extreme, then you can go to the other extreme. So like since we were in Mitzrayim and we were on like the 49th gate and like it was so bad, like now we're going to the other extreme.
Mm-hmm. So that's what we do on Pesach. What we do on Pesach, we go all the way to the other extreme in order so that the rest of the year we can handle the arrogance of chametz throughout the rest of the year. So for anyone who hasn't figured out what I'm talking about yet, so it says like this. So first of all, on page 12, it says that Shivas Yamim Sha'ar Le'imatzu V'Vatechem, you should not find for 7 days leavened bread, anything risen in your house. And in the previous source, on the top of the page, it says that 7 days you should eat matzahs, and on the seventh day should be a holiday. Matzahs yechel shivas yamim v'le'yira lecha chametz v'le'yira lecha sar b'chol gvulecha. You should not see chametz. You should not find chametz. And on that night, you should tell your children, and on that night, you should tell your children about the story of Pesach. Okay. So here we have the mitzvah in the Torah. This is the pasuk where it comes from. The pasuk in the Torah, it says that you should eat matzahs and you should not see and you should not find. What is the difference between seeing and finding? The difference between seeing and finding is that it shouldn't be out. You shouldn't see it, actually see it, but you shouldn't be found, meaning that it shouldn't even be, you shouldn't have it, you shouldn't own it. In other words, if you looked for it, that you'd be able to find it. It can't be found because you don't have it, you don't own it. And then after you get rid of all the chametz, so then you have the seder, you eat the matzah, and you tell your children the story of the seder. Okay. And then in halacha, on the bottom of the page, in the Shulchan Aruch, it breaks down the mitzvahs that we have. So the first one is the first mitzvah is in the Shulchan Aruch for Pesach, that you should not eat chametz from the 14th day, from Erev Pesach, from Chatzos and further. Levaris chametz, to burn the chametz, to get rid of the chametz from Chatzos and further. The third mitzvah is that you should not see chametz all 7 days of Pesach, and in our case, 8. The fourth mitzvah is that you should not find chametz anywhere all 7 or 8 days. The fifth mitzvah is that you should not eat chametz all 7 days. In other words, even if you don't own chametz and you don't have chametz anywhere in your house, you're still not allowed to eat chametz inside or outside of your house, regardless. The sixth one is that you should not eat anything that has any mixture of chametz. And then the seventh one is to eat matzah on the 15th, the 15th night, the 15th day of Nissan at night. And then the eighth one is to tell the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim on that night. Okay, so getting back to our question, page 13. Why is chametz the enemy? And if chametz is the enemy, so then why do we eat it all year round? So chametz, if you look at the top of the page, you see there's chametz and matzah, right? The two Hebrew words on the top, the two big letters is ches and hey. Why is ches and hey big? Because mem and tzaddik in the words chametz and matzah are the same. Mem and tzaddik are the same in the word chametz and the word matzah. The only difference between the two words chametz and matzah is the ches and the hey. What's the difference between a ches and a hey? So the leg is not connected to the roof. The leg of the hay is not connected to the roof, as opposed to the ches is connected to the roof. So the same thing is with chametz and matzah. Chametz, we do not make holes in the dough, and so then the dough rises. The air is trapped inside the dough, and the matzah, we make holes in the matzah, and so therefore no air. It doesn't rise. Not only that, we don't allow it to rise. We don't allow it to sit for 18 minutes, more than 18 minutes, before baking the matzah. And of course, once you bake it, so then it no longer rises. So both things. First of all, we cut holes in it in order so that it doesn't rise. And number two, we don't allow it to rise. We're always moving. The matzah is always moving, so it never has time to sit. Right? To allow dough to rise, you have to let it sit.
What does that have to do with the hay versus the second one?
Because the hay has a hole.
No, but the second one about it's always moving and it's not, that doesn't have to do with the letter.
It doesn't sit. No, I'm saying the dough. The dough needs to sit and allowed to rise.
The hay, it doesn't sit, okay.
So the matzah, right? So the difference between chametz and matzah is that the ches is closed, and so therefore the air, just like dough, is allowed to get caught in the dough and it causes it to rise, as opposed to the matzah that has a hole in the top and allows the air to escape. And that's the whole difference in the words in the calligraphy. Graphically, that's the difference between the whole thing. So here we have two polar opposites, chametz and matzah, but they're so similar. They're so similar because they're made of the same ingredients. They're both considered bread. But what is the major difference? Why is one the enemy on Pesach, and why why do we only eat matzah? Not only eat matzah, we can only eat matzah when we have gotten rid of all the chametz. So chametz, because there's air inside it, just like anyone who's full of themselves or full of hot air, it represents ego and it represents arrogance, as opposed to matzah that is lowly and humble. It represents the opposite. And this is found in the Gemara in Saita on page 5, which is quoted at the bottom. He says like this: Amar Rav Chisda said on the page at the bottom of the page 13. It says Rav Chisda says, Kol Adam sheyesh begas haruach, any person who is arrogant. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem says, Ein ani v'hu yichalim ladav ha'olam. I can't live with him in the world. The world's not big enough for the both of us. Shenemer, like it says in the pasuk. How do we know this? Because it says in the pasuk, it says in the pasuk, he who slanders his neighbor in secret, him I will cut down. One with haughty eyes and an expansive heart, him I cannot bear. Basically, anyone who is arrogant is someone that Hashem says I can't bear. And so the Gemara continues. It says, "I'll take your oisai." It says, "Don't read oisai," which means him. But say Ella Ita Uchal. Ita is with him. With him I cannot bear to dwell. I can't be together with him. Why can't Hashem deal with arrogant people? Why can he deal with evil people and betrayal and rejection and all these things, but he can't deal with arrogance? Yeah.
Well, an arrogant people thinks the most of themselves versus anyone else, so
Right.
they don't make room for Hashem. An evil person might say, I know Hashem's there and I know this is the right and wrong thing to do. I'm just doing the wrong thing.
Just doing the wrong thing.
It's like
Yeah.
a lack of bittul. It's like almost like thinking that you're your own like master and it's like charge of yourself as opposed to recognizing Hashem is everything and Hashem is everything.
Very good. Excellent. So Hashem is a gentleman. He doesn't push someone who doesn't want a relationship with him. He's not twisting anyone's arm. You're not interested. It's fine. So if a person comes along and says, I got this figured out. I know what I'm doing. I can live my own life. I can run my own life. I don't need your help. Hashem says, okay, no problem. Let me know if you need me. Call me when you're ready. So a person that's not inviting Hashem won't push himself into the party. If he's not invited, he won't come. Famous story with the Kotzker, Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Kotsk. It says that he asked the Chassidim, where is Hashem? And so they said, what do you mean Hashem is everywhere? And they said, no, but where can you find him? Where is he? And so they thought that maybe he's asking a more of a deeper question, more of a Kabbalistic question. So they asked, they thought maybe he's talking about the encompassing light and the light that's enclosed in every person and that surrounds the world, that's in the world. Started answering him like this. He says, no, that's not what I'm talking about at all. They said, okay, we're stumped. We don't know what you know. So he says, Hashem is anywhere that you invite him into. How he comes down, how he dwells, how he is in this way and that way, all different levels of light and energy and so on. So this is all, deep stuff. But first and foremost, Hashem is only where you invite him, where he's not wanted, where he's rejected, where he's being told, I don't need you here. He doesn't come. He doesn't dwell. He doesn't exist. He doesn't manifest. So that's what happens with the arrogant person. The arrogant person is saying, he's not a bad person. He's just saying, I don't need you. I don't need you, God. I don't need your mitzvahs. I don't need your Torah. I don't need anything. So I'm good. I'm all by myself. I'm good by myself. And that is what's represented in chametz. Chametz represents arrogance because it's haughty, it's high, it's risen, and so on. And so therefore, chametz needs to be eradicated. It's not enough that we just eat matzah, because you can't be humble and arrogant at the same time, right? It just doesn't work. You can't be a little arrogant and a little humble. It's either you are or you aren't. I'm sure there's a lot of examples of things that either are completely or not at all. There's no middle.
What's the Chassidus behind the Yemen Tzaddik?
It's showing that the same thing, that it's really the same thing. That you are the same person, but only with a very, very small, seemingly even insignificant, unrecognizable change, you become a completely different thing. Because really it's the same word, and even the hey and the ches are the same, but just there's a very, very small piece that's missing. But that small piece that's missing makes all the difference. Both bread and matzah are both made out of flour and water, and we knead the dough, and we roll it out, and we bake it. Everything is all the same. But there's one small thing that's different about it, and that makes it all a entirely different thing. Yeah.
Why is it fine to eat the arrogant bread the rest of the year?
So that was my question in the beginning. We'll get to that in the end. So first, let's understand why we can't eat chametz on Pesach, and then we'll understand why we can eat chametz all year round. Because the more and more we understand how terrible chametz is, and how horrible arrogance is why Hashem can't live with us any time of the year, not just Pesach when we're arrogant. So then really we should be eating chametz we should be eating matzah all year round. Chametz should be something that's not kosher, right? It should be off of the Jewish menu. So first let's understand what's with chametz. So first of all, the idea of chametz is the idea of arrogance. So that's why we are fanatic about it. That's why we must eradicate it. We must get rid of it. we spend more time preparing for the holiday than having the holiday itself, right? We spend more time getting rid of chametz than we actually do eating the matzah. But you shouldn't think that it's just a bunch of, that it's too much preparation for not enough, like this prepare, like, you won't drive 3 hours to go to an event for 5 minutes, right? You got to spend at least, if you're driving to a wedding, you want to spend at least as much time at the wedding than you did traveling, right? So if you're going to spend a month preparing for Pesach, so then the holiday should at least be for a month. So it's like, it seems like a disproportionate amount of time to prepare for a holiday. That's only for one night. Really, the Seder is only one night. Okay, we keep 2 nights because we're out of Eretz Yisrael, or even 7 days. But even 7 days or 8 days is more than a month or 2 or 3 that you spend thinking about Pesach. And really, people think about Pesach all year round. You have Pesach Kalim, you have Pesach things, you have Pesach kitchen. You're always worrying, in the back of your mind, how am I going to get to this, or what am I going to do with the Pesach? Or something that you find and you say, oh, that would be good to buy for Pesach or to have for Pesach. You keep it separate. It's a separate thing. So the whole year round, we're worrying about Pesach, all for 1 week during the entire year. But really, it's not a separate part of the holiday. It's not a preparation for the holiday. It is preparation for the holiday, of course, but it's not a separate part of the holiday. Now, when we are getting rid of chametz, it's part of the mitzvah. It's part of the holiday. The holiday's begun. Part of the holiday is getting rid of the arrogance. Part of the holiday is getting rid of the ego that's within us. If we don't, so then we can't come to the Seder properly. We can't eat the matzah with the arrogance. You can't. So you can't bring the carbon Pesach. You can't go to the Beis Hamikdash to bring your carbon Pesach when you still have chametz in your house. You have to get rid of the chametz before the carbon Pesach is brought. Pesach and chametz don't go together. So it's part of the mitzvah. It's part of the preparation for the Chag, and it's part of the Chag. You have to maintain a chametz-free environment, an arrogance-free, an ego-free environment, the entire 7 days, 8 days of Pesach. And that's why chametz afilu be'elef lebatel, which we see are the words on the top of page 14. That's why chametz has to be eradicated on every level, and it's not enough just to get rid of the big stuff, because it's not enough just to get rid of the big arrogance, the big ego. You have to get rid of the little ego and the little things that are inside that you have to get rid of, that contradict humility. And that's why in the mitzvah itself, it's reflected in the same way. That when you drop a drop of milk into a chicken soup, so then it's bottle. It's just called bottle b'rayv and bottle b'shishim. If there's a majority of one thing over the other, if it's the same like eggs, we always cook eggs in odd numbers because there should be a majority. If you have 3 steaks and they all get mixed up and one of them is not kosher, so then, and you don't know which one's which, so it's kosher because you know for sure that there's for sure a majority of kosher. With things that have to do with taste, so if a drop of milk, there's something called batal b'shishim, where it's 60 times. So if you have 60 times the amount, when you have 60 times the amount of meat or milk overpowering one drop of milk or meat that fell into the opposite, so as long as there's 60 times more, so then it's batal. So the question is, what's with chametz? At what point does chametz become batal? So it says in halacha that afilu be'elef lebatal, that even with 1,000, 2,000, 12,000, nothing, it's never batal. A drop of chametz, the smallest amount of chametz that you can't even measure with a spoon or anything. You can't even see it. It's just something that's mixed in. It's a flavor. It's something that touched chametz. It's chametz and that's it, and it can't be nullified, because arrogance, and it sounds extreme, it sounds impossible, but arrogance can't be batal. If you think that you can live life, or that you're greater than Hashem, or that you know more than Hashem, so then there's just nothing you can do with that. There's no redemption from that. There's no way to utilize that in a good way. There's no way that you can take that and say, okay, so I believe that I know more than Hashem, and in some way use that for in a positive way. That the premise is rotten, the foundation is rotten. Nothing good will come from starting from that starting point. And this is why it says in the pasuk that Moshe was the humblest of men. Moshe was the most humble of all people, which is why he was the one that was able to bring us out of Mitzrayim and take us into the Gula. Yes, what was your question?
I'm always confused about the bits of shishim. Is it like, let's say you have a drop of milk in like a chicken soup, okay? So the chicken soup has to be 60 parts chicken soup and less than 1 part dairy, or 59 parts and less than 1 part, so that altogether makes 60.
It has to be 60 times more. You have to have 60 parts. So in
Okay.
other words, it's
So
61
it's an
total.
additional part
Yeah,
out
yeah.
of 60, okay.
You have 60 times more. Right.
I always know.
60 pieces versus or 60 parts versus the one part. Okay. Yeah, you with me? Yeah?
Yeah.
So how do we get rid of the chametz? So in halacha it says that we're supposed to check for the chametz by day when the sun is shining. We're supposed to open up all the curtains and turn on all the lights in the house and turn on every electrical thing with lights and light as many fires and torches and flashlights and modern days now we have all these things. And then we're supposed to search for the chametz with as much light and brightness as possible, right? Yeah? Right?
You're supposed to turn off all the lights and carry a little flame and search.
Right. Okay, so one person's
Isn't
listening.
that like the final?
So chametz is not searched for by day and is not searched for by the light of the sun, and we're not supposed to light any fires and turn on all the lights. We're supposed to search for chametz at night when it's dark, and instead of turning on all the lights and lighting a big torch, we're supposed to search for the chametz not with very, very bright things, but with one small candle. Does that make sense?
It's like giving ourselves the benefit of the doubt, like look at ourselves with good eyes.
And the chametz, what about that? Practically speaking, how do we find chametz when it's dark and we're searching with one candle? If the search for the chametz when it's bright and
But
it's
I feel
light.
like if it's with one small light, then you're gonna be more diligent with whatever you're looking at, because you're less distracted by seeing a lot of other stuff.
Okay. Okay, but wouldn't it make more sense to do it by day, even if you have to look at
Well, you
things?
kind of do both, because you're not cleaning by candlelight in the middle of the night.
True. But Bedika, the mitzvah of the Bedika of checking for the chametz is at night. And it's specifically with only a candle. So this can be looked at in two ways. You can look at it like what you're saying, that it's can be detailed, which is what one of the things it says. It says that the light of the candle is good for searching. That's what it says. But that doesn't really explain anything. It's kind of a cryptic message. So in other places, it says that the reason why we use a candle and not a torch is because if a person's holding a big Havdalah candle and then they're looking behind the curtains or underneath the bed or behind the couch, so a person won't go in with the candle and won't look so closely. Why? Because they're afraid that they're going to set their house on fire. So, but with a candle, you're not really worried. You know, it'll take a lot to use a little Hanukkah candle to burn your house down. So people will get closer and look at the details. So that's one of the things that it says. But that's not what it says in Shulchan Aruch. In other words, that's a very logical and practical thing to say, but it's not what it says here. It says that the bedika is something that's done with the candle because the candle is good for searching. So another way of explaining it is that the candle is good because when there's only one flame, so there isn't a lot of flickering. When you have a torch, you have something that has many wicks, so the flames sort of flicker one into the other, and they shake and they move, and so therefore that creates that the light moves, and then the shadows also that it brings shadows, and so therefore the one simple candle is a quiet flame and it doesn't move, and so it's easier to search for. But again, it's not something that's said in Shulchan Aruch so clearly, and in other words, the Shulchan Aruch could have said it that way clearly. Instead, the Shulchan Aruch says it in the way that this is the way that the candle is good for checking in all types of small places. And we have to figure out what that means. Is it because you don't want to torch your house, or because you don't? But of course, the reason why it's written in this way is in order to give us a hint as to what the Bdika is really about. It's not only about searching for chametz, because in the end of the day, I mean, let's be honest, you spent a month before Pesach searching and getting rid of chametz, so much so that the Chachamim say that you should put chametz out, you should hide chametz, 10 pieces of chametz, all throughout your house, in order to make sure that you find something, in order to make sure that it's not a bracha levatal, that you didn't just make a bracha to go search for chametz and not find anything, and to make sure that you find something, because chances are that you've done such a good job in cleaning your house that there isn't any chametz that you'll find anywhere in your house. So what is the necessity to make sure to get into all the cracks and crevices and so on when chances are there's nothing even there? And so the answer is that the searching for chametz is not really searching so much for actual physical chametz, because certainly you've done the work. You have to make sure that the work that you did, the physical job that you did to remove the physical chametz from your house and from your home and from your place, from where you're living, also translated spiritually, that you've succeeded in utilizing the ritual as a way to remove the arrogance from your heart spiritually. And so that's what the Bedika is about. Of course, the Bedika is to check for chametz. You have to actually check for chametz. You have to find the 10 pieces, and you have to burn the chametz the next day. But the real chametz searching on the night before Pesach is to check our hearts for the chametz. The way we do that is with a candle. The reason why we're doing this with a candle is because it says on the bottom of the page, it says, Ner Hashem Nishma. Suddenly, the candle of God is the soul of man. That Hashem has taken his candle and he has placed his candle inside each and every one of us. So in other words, when a person goes in the street with a candle, with a lantern, they put a candle in a lantern and they go in the street. And as they hold the lantern in front of them, and it goes in front of them, the light, it's a light for their feet. Literally, as they're walking, they're able to see where they're going. So Hashem uses us as lanterns. He places his candle within us in this world. We shine light into the world. And through the light that we shine into the world, he's able to see and affect and act in this world through the light that we bring into the world. So what that tells us that there's a piece of God, there's a light that Hashem uses to find things in this world that is within us, that's our soul. And so therefore we take our soul, which is considered the candle of God, and we search for the arrogance that's within our heart on the night of the Bedika. That's it for today. We'll see you all tomorrow, Miss Hashem.
Rabbi.
Yeah.
We were just at a class with Rabbi Dubov, and he also said stages, and then he elaborated on why it's stages.
Good, I said I like what you said. It wasn't the point that I was getting at. I didn't want to go from practice. Everything is staged. Everything
Did you get it?
Bella got it.
Maybe like,
I want to learn.
yeah, he said,
with Bella.
he said that, first you're taken out, and then you're saved, which is the second stage, and then you're redeemed, and then yeah. I guess that's gonna be like the taken out again, like the same way you were taken out the
This
first
is a
time.
new
to,
kind
like,
of
start the
paper.
process.
Like my pen usually bleeds a lot.
Oh, I got it.
You got it? Wait, okay, look at
Wow.
mine.
It's like 2-ply paper.
What's on mine?
You're exactly where I was.
I'm so confused.
It's really hard.
I'm really confused.
Like what other, like literally use.
Usually don't
other
know.
Oh, you don't
I don't know what it was.
I'm like, it could be any letter. This is,
What do you think?
What is this, Wordle?
I don't, yeah.
Even though I don't think it was anymore, like my heart is still there, and so I'm still in the video chat. Those are some big letters, wow. And
But Tina's gonna end.
and so usually they do like a count off, like